Hi, and welcome back. I have something special to share with you, and I think you're going to find this hugely beneficial. So, think about what it means to awaken. To awaken is to become aware of something beyond what you're normally aware of. And what we want to become aware of, and we have become aware of, is that the physical world is informed by the non-physical. And we can access that non-physical state. And that state is accessed by our embodiment and our feeling. We can't intellectualize any of it. We can't pontificate about it. We have to experience it. We have to live it. We have to go into the body. We have to shift our awareness from thinking awareness to feeling awareness. And we have to move deep, deep, deep down into the body to be able to experience the nourishment that's there. And so we engage in various practices. I do, you do, many of us do, right? And we also go to healing practitioners. And those practices and those practitioners familiarize us with this non-physical body that is within us. And so when we are engaging with that frequently, we end up in this state that some of us might call vibing high. It's not my favorite terminology because it doesn't have anything tangible to relate to in terms of how does that happen and how do we stay there, right? But we know what it's made of. It's made of amazing interactions with the world, with people. It's made of synchronicities and serendipity. It's made of the flow state. It's made of, all these things we like to share that are blowing our minds because we don't really believe in the true potential of the non-physical state and that we can live there and be nourished from there. And so what we've been doing, what I've been doing, what you've been doing, what we've all been doing is not living there. We do the practices open up that world to us. We become familiar with what it feels like to be embodied, to feel instead of pontificate. And that can happen in so many ways. Listening to music, dancing, anything that we're doing with our body, being out in nature, Tai Chi, breathing practices, going to an acupuncturist, doing homeopathy, all of these things allow us to engage with the non-physical aspect of ourselves, but then we leave because we're in the habit of living somewhere else where we're thinking and we're not feeling. We're disassociated from the depth of our feeling that has to go really, really, really down deep, deep, deep into the body because we have an ethereal body that's within the physical body that we can embody. And we have to go into the body to experience it. And we can live from there if we want to stay in a state of flow and allow manifestations to just happen as they are meant to. This is our divine nature, I guess you would say. And so we get a taste of it here and there. We experience feelings of bliss. We have crazy synchronicities. We get a taste of it over and over again. But we are not recognizing that we don't have to leave, or what is it that triggers us to move out of that state, and what is it that brings us there. So once we recognize how to go there, which is very practical, it's all these things that I'm talking about. And so just as an example for myself, I do a breathing practice, a half-hour breathing practice every morning that brings me into deep state of peace. And I also, as I'm waking up in the morning, I linger in the hypnagogic state that I've mentioned so many times in my other videos and in my book. This has allowed me to familiarize with myself with that place in which we find our true nourishment. And you have also experienced this with different practices that you've done, I'm sure, or through healing practices that you've engaged with where you went to a healer of some sort. So now, in this next level, we're not going to go in and out. We're not going to do the practice and then reset ourselves and go back to what we were doing. We're going to learn how to live there. And I had made a secret prayer, or secret to myself, like I didn't even know it was a prayer, but I had asked that I could live in that state. And when the 9-day process that sort of came to me, that I mentioned in my last video, when that came to me, I realized when I was in it that this was an answer to that prayer. Because that week was crazy. If you want to talk about vibing high, and again, I don't like that terminology, but the way life went blew my mind. It was like full Technicolor, everything, all week long, crazy manifestations, stuff that just was coming to me that I was just there as a receiver. And I was, consciously being in the embodied state, consciously staying there as my practice, because I didn't have the social media pulling me out of it over and over again. And I know that is why that week was so nutso, in a good way. And so now I'm embarking on another 9-day process that I'm inviting you to join me in, if you like, of not leaving. So how do we not leave? We continuously familiarize ourselves with what it feels like to be embodied, and whatever that is for you. You can do many practices, but you can also recognize that what is the practice doing for you? Where is it bringing you? And what does that feel like? And when you know what it feels like, you can stay there. So that's all you have to pay attention to. What does it feel like? How can I stay there? And in the beginning, you'll stay there by doing your practices over and over again. But ultimately, once you feel really familiar with what it is like to be embodied versus being disassociated from the unseen or the ethereal body or whatever you want to call it, the contrast becomes greater the more that you enter into that state, and then when you leave it, it's a lot more painful than it was the first time. I'm sure you've noticed this. It's more painful because you've experienced what it feels like to be truly nourished and cared for from that space and to feel safe. And then you leave it because life takes you away from it, and you haven't yet perhaps made the connection of what helps you stay there. And so you go through some things. It feels like you're well, it feels like you're going over old ground. And what's really happening is you've abandoned that space. You've abandoned that space. So we want to go back, and we're going to go back, and we're going to learn how to live there. And that is our next level awakening. That is what we're going to work on. And I invite you to join me for a 9-day process to really focus in on that and see where it takes you. And in the meantime, I'll be reporting where it's taking me, and sharing other aspects that we can observe and think about that are supportive of this process. So, thank you so much for listening, and I look forward to what we're all going to discover together.